Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I know it's this is the pre-Christmas meeting, so thank you all for being here. I'd like to start the meeting. Today is November the 28th, and we 11 o'clock, and we are holding the Blue Ribbon Committee for People with Disabilities. And the first thing I'd like to call the meeting to order, and the second thing is that we need to review and approve the minutes of October 17th, 2018. If you all could take a look at those, I'll give you all a few minutes to look at them and see if there are any changes, revisions, or changes or modifications that we need to make, corrections.
And Mr. Chair, usually Ms. Ramos does the excellent with the minutes. She was not here, so the minutes are also very good, and that was courtesy of our intern, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Any changes, corrections? No?
No.
Okay, so do I have a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes? Second. Next item is the discussion possible action regarding the first item is the presentation by Ms. Tina Trevino on Laredo Tennis Association and Special Needs Athletes. So Ms. Trevino, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, for inviting me. I'm going to stand there so that I make sure the people that are on the phone will be able to hear. Are you able to hear me? Because I'm being as creative as I can. I'm going to try to describe what you're visually missing, which is really most of my presentation. So, yes, hold on to my hat and coat and pray for me, okay? Thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for asking me, inviting me to come. I jumped at this, and I will tell you, I'm Tina Trevino. I'm the office administrator of Trevino Eye Clinic, Alfredo Trevino, the ophthalmologist here in Laredo. We have 2 optometrists as well. We see all of the people of Laredo who want to be seen. We do not discriminate whether you have Medicaid or Medicare or DARS or Gateway. Those are people we take care of. 40 years ago, in 1978, we came to Laredo with the mission to serve Laredoans. Dr. Trevino had grown up in Laredo. I grew up in Galveston. And when he was here in Laredo with his grandmother, he used to take his grandmother on the bus to Monterey to go get her eyes examined and come back. In 1978, a number of pediatricians and physicians within the community and within Laredo really convinced us that this was a good place because the need was there. Dr. Rudy Safarini was the only physician at the time, and he was not seeing children. So a young child had to go to Corpus or San Antonio to get their school eye exam. I've never forgotten that because I am a teacher at heart, and I know what that means. You can't teach a child if they can't see. And you've got to be able to give them the tools to see if they are visually impaired. So all of that is our mission of Trevino Eye Clinic and has been for the last 40 years. Taking that on, Dr. T and I are both passionate tennis players. Dr. Trevino continues to play tennis 3 times a week. I had to give it up about 20 years ago because of a back situation. But I tell everybody, I do play tennis. I play tennis from my heart and I play tennis from my head. Because I see a tennis match and I'm playing. And I visualize it, my excitement. We established and coached the tennis team at San Agustin, and did that for 15 years. I did Doctors Hospital Junior Volunteers. I established that and was there for 25 years. So we care about this community, and if you notice, it's usually the kiddos, because I figured out that if we can help our young people understand that they have so much talent and so many abilities that others do not have, their confidence level goes up. So the bottom line to this, and I'm gonna toot our horn because I'm very proud of it. 2 weeks ago, Trevino, the Alfredo Trevino and Tina Trevino family were named to the Texas Tennis Hall of Fame in Waco, Texas. There is an exhibit. So if you guys go by Waco, stop at the Sports Hall of Fame, and then there is a division in tennis, and there we are. And one of the items that they chose to display in the exhibit is a letter that I received. I teach tennis to the blind, and we'll go into that in a minute. But it was a letter from the parents and the children thanking me for helping raise funds so that we could go to Austin and play a competition. And then there's a Braille translation below it. That knocked everybody's socks off. They had never seen that. And they kept going, "What are you guys doing in Laredo?" And I said, "Well, come and see." We create anything. We can do anything we want. Before you, and ladies that are on the phone, we will get these to you. I have 2 pamphlets, one on Stroke Survivor Tennis Club and one on Tennis for the Blind. And that'll give you a general overview of what our program is. And so the layout for this presentation will be seeing photos and videos, and I will try my best to verbalize what you're missing seeing, but there are some videos where there are some interviews, so you will be able to hear that, okay?
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Again, pray for me. Okay, sweetheart. Okay, this is a photo of our very first program, our very first class that we had for our Tennis to the Blind. Emmanuel, who is still with us, was probably about 10 years old. He's a senior now. The first thing that we did is there is a clipboard that we did with rope. And then we have masking tape on top of the rope. The rope is designed to teach him to be able to feel the layout of the tennis court. and it is a special modified tennis court for the blind so that they can use their feet. They will learn how to be moving by touching and knowing where they are on the tennis court. Okay, I don't know which one I'm doing. Alright. What am I doing, kiddo? Okay. Now, this is an example of stop. Okay, this is an example of Dr. Trevino working with a young boy, Nacho, who took our hearts. Well, all of them have taken our hearts. The very first thing he did, he has a little bit of vision, which is probably about 4 or 5 inches in front of him. And these children had never touched a tennis racket ever. And so for Nacho, he could see through, he holds this racket within about 4 inches of his eyes, and he's feeling the strings. Dr. T is teaching him all of the parts of the racket, and it's quite moving to see this piece. And you will watch all of a sudden, see how he's all of a sudden looking at how the strings are strung on the racket. Dr. Trevino now begins to show Nacho that how to swing, and he's trying to teach him how to bend his knees. Now, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to try to stop. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to go back a bit. I think maybe I did wrong. I go back to that first one. That's the last one. There we go. What I was going to say is, if you notice, Dr. T was bending and trying to teach Nacho, bend your knees. But Nacho couldn't see that far. And Dr. T, it didn't click up here. What we had to learn to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to demonstrate. May I touch him? Okay. What we have to do is we have to teach them. We're going to bend your knees, okay? And pretend you're Brian. Okay, watch what I'm doing. Feel my knee, okay? Now you do your knee like that. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Little cositas that you could not possibly think of. We have to learn to adapt. Again, this was our first class, so because I am a teacher, I immediately could see what was going on. I wasn't going to, say it just then, but I did. We continued going forward on that. Okay, so I'm going to want. So that was old Nacho doing his thing, and Dr. T, and bending your knees. We're seeing the video of bending your knees, and he's not bending his knees. Now we have lost it. Now we have Coach Mario from the Valley. Coach Mario works with kiddos, blind children, and visually impaired children in the Valley. There is a there's a non-profit organization that is totally run in what's across the river from McAllen? Reynosa. Thank you, sir. So they're in Reynosa. What has done? The lady owns this special needs, visually impaired school there because her child was there, and so she hired Coach Mario, sent him to Japan, which is where the International Blind Tennis Association is, and had him train there. So he could come and take care of these children in Reynosa. Then Coach Mario has migrated into McAllen. Their objective is truly to play competitive, high-end competitive play. And our objective is to give our children the opportunity. Our children in Laredo, most of them don't have the finances to do any kind of travel at at that level, but they do know how to love tennis. So you will see Coach Mario. This is a ball that has bells in it. He teaches, and you can see how he has all of the tricks. He knows how to put people in their places. Here we are teaching Cruz, who was a senior at Martin High School. He had never played tennis. This young man, Dr. T, once again telling him, slide, slide. Well, he doesn't know what slide is. Now you can see the difference with teaching from Dr. Trevino versus Coach Mario. And then, because Cruz wants to learn, he could do it. Then Coach Mario is rolling the ball, listening for the bells, and finding out if Cruz can go to the sound of the balls. Here's Chris Sanchez.
Is basically, when they come in, I have a basic lesson plan that I do with them in the beginning, and from that basic lesson plan, I can get an idea of what they need from there on. Yeah, so basically an evaluation. I do the same for all the students, and then from then on, it's a little different for each.
All right.
I try to see what their weaknesses are. So some of them are lacking footwork, some of them are lacking a little more coordination. So I try to build different drills so they can work on their specific skills.
All right, that is our pro. We hired a pro who gave us a discounted price to spend with our students, and he has been with us for 4 years, and he's awesome. Mateus Campos. He's from Brazil. He played at LCC, and all of these kiddos we've learned to love them and their personalities. Welcome. Thank you. This is Daniela Gutierrez. Daniela is an interesting case because she never knew that she was visually impaired until she was like 12, 13 years old. She had learned to ride bikes, she had learned to play basketball, she had learned to go hiking, she had done everything. She had vision of about maybe 6 feet, about 6 feet. So when anything came to her, she had to react at that 6 foot setting, so then she could, but she never voiced that to her parents. They just thought she was a little slower, but physically not, had no great disabilities. And then they found out after searching that she did have a disease that has influenced her from that point on to now, and she's now about 20, I believe. And she also is still with us. Now, Daniela is a very dry person. She complains all the time, and all she wants to do is rest. And, what teenager doesn't want to just sleep 14 hours a day? So here we go. This is Daniela working on her footwork. And this is Mateo's telling her, okay.
Okay, Daniela, tell me, why were you doing that?
Okay, now we're going to see Emmanuel. Emmanuel was having issues with that day of not being able to succeed. We were trying to get him to listen, to swing, do a forehand. He's already been with us for 2 years. He knew how to do it, but it was just a bad day for him. Mateos, in his wisdom, said, okay, we're going to try something else. Now, the young man with the cap who is shaking the ball is a volunteer. We get them from the high school tennis teams. So this young man comes, and you see that what we've done is put one of the tennis balls on top of a plastic glass, so we lifted it up, so then when Emmanuel swings forward, if he hears where it is, the location, he'll hit the ball. Now what happened here is, you could see I had to help the young volunteer, because previously, again, he was shaking the ball over here. So Manuel was hitting over here, high. The young man was shaking, the young volunteer was shaking the ball at his chest, at the volunteer's chest height, when the ball for Emmanuel to hit was about 6 inches off the floor. So I said, okay, I've been doing this enough now. I said, okay, get down closer for the location of where the ball is, and Manuel will do it. And we see that Manuel is doing it because he's genius. And here he goes, shaking at the glass, and then Manuel is successful. All right, now here is Nacho swinging forward, and this is our group. This is our group all together. We have about 8 to 10, sometimes 12, but generally 8 kiddos, and they continue. We were getting ready for a tennis tournament, a blind tennis tournament here in Laredo, the first ever, and we had our volunteer mentors. And those, again, were the tennis team people. So I think you're seeing us get ready for the tournament. We have emotional people. This little boy this young man, I don't know if you're aware of albinos. We have an albino girl and an albino boy. They have difficulty with glare. So we had to alternate. He's very athletic. Sepio is very athletic. Had loved basketball. Played at public school. Tried to play at public school. Was somewhat bullied. Ended up leaving town for a year, and then has now come back. Thank God. But the first thing he did is contact the Tennis for the Blind program, because he was successful. Again, here you see Emmanuel, and I'm going to rush through this because it's a very long video, and I know you don't need to know that, because I have some other areas. They're tossing. Christina's doing her thing. We have Lupita. Lupita needs to have their mentors, and then there's always the psych therapy. This little girl, Samantha, was furious with herself. I didn't win. And I had to help her understand winning wasn't the issue. The success was the issue. And so I sat there, and in this photograph, this is one of my most favorite photographs of what it takes more than playing tennis. It takes helping that child develop confidence, develop understanding that of what success is, and it doesn't have to be the top of the line. It's just that you have been successful. And I had to remind her, a year ago, could you do this?
No.
Okay, well, look at where we are. So those are the kinds of things that we do. This is one of my favorite. And this were all of our winners. Some of these were from across. This young man, that little short guy, there's a little short guy, ladies, that is on the photo. He is totally blind, and he's from McAllen, and he wants to be a tennis coach. That's what he said. I'm going to be a pro. These are all of our kiddos, our mentors, and our children who have played. All right, let me zip over here. And this is one of my most favorite photos as well. Here we go. Sorry guys, I'm sorry. Alright, that is one of my most favorite photos. And if I can, is it on stop? Yeah, it is.
No, when it's a little triangle, that means it's on.
Well,
You can go back a little bit now.
all right.
More.
No. Go for it. I understand what it means to be special needs because I am a special needs technology person.
11:36 a.m.
This is a photograph, and we'll just hold that. This is a photograph of a certificate of participation. These children have always gotten, we always hand out certificates of participation in whatever events, right? You see that all the time. But when you hand it to a blind person, they don't know what it says. We are so blessed that one of our special ed teachers at United has the Braille machine. And everything on there is in Braille. And that is the summary. That is, to me, what that tournament was about. They could feel it, they could see it, they participated in it. I went to a national event. I was asked to give this presentation at a little bit more organized because I was doing it in New York. But it was an interesting thing because the people who had been playing tennis, able-bodied tennis players, had never seen anything like this. Had never seen anyone not be able to play tennis. When they said, "I'm going to get up and go to the court and go." So it's a different philosophy, and I truly am so blessed that God gave me the opportunity to come up with this idea, and He has continued to lead us as we've gone through it. The other thing that is also very important here is in 2017, the Latin American International Sports Hall of Fame in Laredo named our tennis team, our Tennis for the Blind, as the what do we call it? I think they're the Inspiration Award. And it was really exciting. We were at the country club, and having heard the story from Mateos, we brought up all of our kiddos, and behind them were all these professional football players, basketball players, jockeys, all these wonderful people. And when the kiddos stood up in front of everybody to be acknowledged, all of a sudden we had a standing ovation. Were you there?
No, I just believe it.
Yes, we had a standing ovation, and Christina goes, Miss T, what? Are they standing? Yes. Are they clapping for us? Yes. Miss T, they think we are athletes. And I said, no, they don't think it. They know it.
Yeah.
And it was again, those kinds of moving things. When I was at the national convention, at the national presentation, there was a neurologist. And most important piece of information I've ever heard. She's doing research on children and adults who have special needs. And she has found out that if an individual has a minimum of an hour a day, an hour a week exercise, physical exercise, their cognitive ability will increase. They stroke, blind, everybody, their self-esteem, their physical ability, their strength, but most of all, their cognitive. And I have seen that because our children, when we started with them and they were in the 6th and 7th grade, were not good students. We've had 2 student of the months now from our group. And their level had just swung. And again, these kids come every Tuesday for an hour to thank you, City of Laredo Park and Rec Hillside Center, and thank you, Mateos, and our volunteers. So they have brought these kiddos up, and that's my biggest and most exciting. Now, all right, so that takes us through. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other video. How do I do that?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
I can.
I'm Jennifer Lopez.
Okay. What we're going to see now is we have a stroke survivor program. And our stroke survivor program, we partnered with the Laredo Stroke Support Group. Bill Hernster, everybody in town knows about Bill Hernster. And Bill is a dear friend of ours, and I taught with Dee Dee as well. And I told him, I said, I have this idea, Bill. What do you think? We can do this. So we did it. Now, I'm going to let you listen. You're going to listen, ladies on the phone, to an interview first, one of our volunteer mentors, and then from our actual participants.
Thank you.
Maybe.
TA Jennifer Lopez, and I help coordinate our adaptive tennis programs, both tennis for the blind and visually impaired, and our stroke survivors tennis. Everybody's working at a different level, so through helping through several years, I've gotten to know everybody's abilities. So we try to emphasize that everybody should just stay within their comfort zone. Of course, we would like them to get better, but we are always trying to prevent injuries. We always promote a lot of fun. We promote a lot of inclusion, and of course, we're in a very welcoming, understanding environment.
And why did you want to volunteer for the stroke survivors?
First, because of scholarships, honestly. But second, I love to help people.
United South Senior
Therapist, so I feel like this is a great opportunity to get to know everything about movements and all that. So me myself, I have a brother with autism, so I get to experience everything all over again.
And what do you think about the stroke survivors?
They're really great. I can see their passion and their drive and their motivation to move forward and get better and mingle and have a great experience.
And now I think we're going into...
My husband, Armando Martinez, came in to keep him active and use his right side. That's the right side. That's the one that he lost movement. And with this, it's helping him, or it will help him get more active. Program, I hope that he can get stronger on his right leg and his right hand. That's what he makes the most.
Good evening, sir, and tell me your name.
My name is Hector Huerta, and I'm 62 years old. I had stroke 5.5 years ago. I have partial leg paralysis and an arm paralysis. Tennis has meant a lot for me because it's helped me with my coordination, like being able to run and walk, and it picks me up because I get visited by younger people and make me feel more.
I got a stroke. I got a stroke 25 years ago. It was hard for me because I can speak or say and correctly. I love tennis because I love to play against a woman.
And what has been the hardest thing for you to do in playing tennis?
Only to walk. My stroke needed so much of movement, so I have to learn how to walk and everything. So.
And is it something that you look forward to?
Every day.
And this is a tournament that they play with able-bodied, and you will see that we have young people in wheelchairs as well. I'm going to go to the next one. And we also started, we also started a program for childhood cancer. We call them the Warriors. And the interest is there. The parents want the kids to have it. but it needs transportation and it needs scheduling. And so the participation numbers were not there enough. So we will continue the partnership, and when they have big events, we will come in and work with the children then. And so we're taking a different spin on it. We were doing it twice a month, which was their request, and we were getting 2 or 3 kids that really, it wasn't working. But this is a video. Oh God, ladies, you are missing the opportunity of your lifetime. This is a video of a young boy in a wheelchair who has cancer. He's reclined on his wheelchair. He is hitting with a racket balloons against the wall. He's swinging. Another young boy who looks very healthy is now working on also hitting. We have a young girl who's a survivor, but is still in remission, but still participating. The thing that is most exciting, I think, in my opinion, is, no, that's not what I want this one. Is, am I doing this right? Go to back to play. Okay, stop. Okay. The thing that is exciting is this last year we have had 2 groups of special needs individuals give me a call and say, can you help us? Can you teach tennis to our kids? That being the childhood cancer group and also the Down syndrome moms. Little did we know, this is Sebastian. I've seen Sebastian at our play days, our citywide play days that we do once a month, 10 months of the year, free at Market Street. And I've seen Sebastian, a vez en cuando he'll come, but I hadn't seen him in a while. And all of a sudden he got older and he got stronger and he got physically in control of himself, and intellectually had increased with his ability as well. He starts participating, and this is Sebastian. He gets off of the court. It was the coolest thing. He played a tournament. He played what we called a warm-up tournament, a pretend warm-up tournament, so that they could feel not just the Down syndrome, but this is with able-bodied kids, so that they could feel like what it was to be in a tournament. He gets off and he goes, Miss T, you know what? I'm a winner. I won. And I said, you did, Sebastian? Yes, it went over the net. I won. And you know what? He won. He did. He won. That is an overview of what Laredo Tennis Association does. We are presently in our annual giving campaign. This organization is totally volunteer. We have 2, 3, 4 people that Trevino Eye Clinic donates funds to for staff. We have a president/executive director that donates time. We just do, everybody that does everything is a volunteer. There is not one truly paid from LTA finances for operations. It's an extraordinary group. Our group has been named by the United States Texas Tennis Association as one of the outstanding adaptive programs. So, I think we in Laredo have the opportunity to embrace others. Tennis for the Blind or for children from 8 to 21 into college. Stroke survivors are anyone. We're doing adults. Our Down syndrome, right now we will start the program in January, and that will be again from, I think we said 6 to 12. And then if we have more, we'll embrace those. We're not going to say no. On the pamphlet is one of the most important things. It says anyone can play tennis if they want to. That's our mission. Our mission is to teach tennis to everyone in Laredo and the surrounding areas who wants to learn. And when we took the step over the line to start with Tennis for the Blind, we just went up this bridge, and God's sending them to us. It was built with His direction. Our funding comes. There will be days that I think we don't have the funds to carry on our programs anymore. Last December, I thought we were going to have to cancel our Tennis to the Blind, and on December the 16th, a gentleman came in with a huge check for our adaptive program. And so that's God. Mm-hmm. It's God driven, and God sends these beautiful babies to us and adults. So, sir, sitting here at this table, you want to learn tennis? I know where you can do it. Any questions?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much.
I'm sorry I took so long.
It's fine. We appreciate it. Thank you and your husband. Okay. By the way, you aren't my doctor.
Oh, good. You can see well. That's a good thing.
And
and I just wanted to this is Miss San Miguel on the phone, Mr. Trevino. I just wanted to thank you and your husband, Dr. Trevino, because of what you're doing is it's something that we stand for. I'm actually the counselor for the adults where we used to be JARS, Division for Blind.
Yes.
Now we're under vocational rehabilitation. The counselor for the adults, and we do have Ms. Luna, who's the counselor for the transition student, which is a young adult. But I remember always hearing, the transition counselors talk about Tennis for the Blind, and some of the names that you were saying, they ring a bell, because I remember our previous counselor would talk about, yes, this person, he's participating in Tennis for the Blind, and so this is something really good, because this is what we prepare our students for, to be independent, to participate, to be active. And then, of course, once I get them as adults, they have those skills to play. And you do notice the difference how you share it. Sometimes just once a month, you notice how much more active and how they, what's the word I'm looking for? They grow up. They grow up and
matured and experienced and developed.
Yes, and I do notice that, because again, I sometimes see them coming in to see their transition counselors, and then once they get to me, I'm like, wow, there's major improvement. So that's really great, and I appreciate all the support we get from the doctors here in Laredo, the ophthalmologist. So
well, thank you. It is our pleasure.
If I could add something, I'm an insensitive here. As a matter of fact, I've been under consideration because my son Jonathan was the director of Caldas.
Yes, I know you.
Yes, and I want to commend the fact that the people in the community come together and they use their talents. They create a community that is inclusive to everyone. And I think that's what the goal of our community is, to bring in those people who have a passion to make a difference. Because see, I can tell you right now, I can't buy the Latin Activity for your team because I can't find a ball for anything. but I know that I have talent and I have to develop. But with that, it's a public coming together. I hear you, and it makes me to know that area of finding work for people, developing soft skills. If you're in the area of providing a better quality life by more exercising and becoming part of the community through association of sports. And that itself is like another piece of the equation. I need to touch base with you later on about another activity that's going on, but I again, my congratulations to your staff and to your volunteers.
Thank you.
More than one person to raise an organization like yours. Congratulations.
Thank you. Ms. Gutierrez, now a word from our sponsor. One of our students, Barbara Bitron, is looking for a job. She's graduated from TAMIU and she is really struggling to find a place. And she was working with the other lady with DARS, and so maybe you two can get together and help Barbara find a position.
That's what we specialize in. We might not be so good about, but we can put a home run when it comes to jobs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. So much. That was amazing.
I just think Barbara has been one of my best friends for like years.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I've known her since high school.
Oh, now we're getting her a job. What do you think of that?
Pretty awesome, actually.
I know.
Mr. Evans, is there a time from the schools with the...
Well, our young teachers really volunteer on the weekends.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and if ever for you, just continue about Barbara. She's a good friend of mine.
Thank you.
¿Qué pensó?
Muy bien. Well, that was very interesting.
That was amazing.
I have a lot of patience and a lot of time and effort. We thank her and her husband. Where am I? Okay. Next item. We're going to try to finalize a schedule to invite businesses to the committee meetings and present on the workforce and sensitivity. You all recall that last time that we met, the idea was we were thinking of inviting those individual organizations that already hire people with disabilities, so that again can then tell us what was the culture, what changes did they have to make, and how do they schedule a program, or what do they implement within their system to not only culturally or accept people with disabilities, but also how do they train them. And maybe we could use some of their knowledge and experience and know-how to convince other organizations that it's possible and feasible to hire individuals with disabilities. And so that's where I think we were at. And one of them, I don't know if Dr. Ruthinger or somebody was the one who had spoken about possibly inviting Laredo Medical, Walmart, and HEB to start with.
Right. So I met with Laredo Medical Center HR Danielle Flores, and we had the conversation because I was going to be there for another meeting, and and I talked to her about what it is that we're doing and how all this works, and she says, well, reach out to me and let me know with a solid date and time, and see how we can partner and collaborate. I also reached out to Walmart and Sam's, so there are 4 Walmarts and of course 1 Sam's. When we got to the wanting to do the media and whatnot, because the way I explained it to them, I advised them of what San Antonio was doing, right, and that we wanted to mirror what they're doing here, and possibly have a Empowering All task force project type of deal, and kind of took some nuggets out of that article about our goals, to create a group of community leaders who are advocates of disability inclusive workplaces, and understand the importance and value of hiring people with special needs, engage the community, focus on the ability rather than the disability. So these are just kind of some nuggets that I was collaborating with these employers and putting out there. They were all very receptive. And I said, well, I may as well call them all. Why call one, right? Go big or go home. So, so I reached out to all of them, and now I'm in communication with their corporate office regarding media, because they've got some media stipulation if in fact we do go to their place to meet, so we understand what, how many jobs do they have under that one roof. Are you currently employing individuals with disabilities, which a lot of them are? And how do we move forward and lock arms to do better? So I'm waiting on a call back from the corporate office regarding the media. I said, we don't have to do media at all four, just at least one, and we can have that meeting where I'd like all the four managers from those to come. So we're still working, but do know that we have had conversation.
What do you think about marrying your idea with Daniel's?
Oh,
In
yeah,
other words, I'm
absolutely.
thinking He's
talking the ones that are already
they're
doing,
being success, and then you're bringing in these powerhouses.
Yeah.
So maybe if they would come while we have someone presenting on this is how we succeeded. Maybe that would be a good thing.
And just to let you know that Sam's and Walmart are advocates and do employ individuals with disabilities, because they shared with me some of the folks and the disabilities that they have, and that they're doing,
really well.
that they're doing a great job. So, it's a twofold that we could do it that way.
The idea would just be, how do we duplicate their effort,
Right.
their success, and how do we convince other organizations to take that direction
To
as
become
well?
more inclusive.
And so they probably have a lot of things that they've learned through the process
Yes.
that we probably are naive to it.
Right.
And that other organizations may be hesitant about going in that direction because they presuppose a lot of things, which may be totally inaccurate and not reflect the reality of things. And so maybe, if we were to have some organizations that you've spoken to, so I appreciate you reaching out to them and working with them.
Sure.
And so for the more right now, then it's just an issue of us waiting for them to give us clearance.
Yes. Because we do want the media there. Of course, I put the mayor in there, and that this is his committee, and we're appointed, and you got to put some meat on the bone, that they're going to listen to you. So that this is what we're doing, and understand that he may be at the meeting, and we'd like to have media there to showcase not only their efforts, but ours, the partnership, the community, all of us coming together and doing something good.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Mr. Chair, do you want us to wait until they make contact with Ms. Sanchez to formally invite them and put them on the agenda, or do you want to proceed with others in between? Like,
however you want.
Whataburgers is another one. I don't know in Laredo if they have, but certainly their corporate is to invite them, as you say, and as the group decided, is how learn from them to talk to other businesses who aren't hiring.
Right.
Can I suggest also? I suggest also invite Ms. Andrea Lagaza. She's the person who hired me, and she has a lot of faith in me. And so far, it's been a great experience for me. And I'm glad they have the patience for me. I'm learning quite a bit. And I just want to thank her, and also I think once I succeed, which I do plan to succeed, I will open the door for other people.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you would wish to, because she hired me, so, and I'm disabled, and I can testify to a lot of things. And like I said, I'm learning right now, and I'm right now I'm limited to what I'm doing. But they say I'm doing great, plus I'm learning more. So there is a lot of things I can express, and because in fact, I've been invited to a luncheon on the 13th. When Andrea Lagarza told me she wants me to make a small speech on my experience. So I'm very proud of what I'm doing, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And I think a lot of people who are disabled, if they have opportunity to, as I have had the opportunity to prove what I can do, I think they will be as grateful as I am. So I think that she would be a person to invite to express. In fact, on the White Cane Day, she expressed very nicely about me also that day. So I just want to say, a very good idea, especially because workforce solutions, and I never thought I would end up working there, and I am, and I want to take the advantage, and I want to prove to everybody, employers especially who are thinking about hiring people with disability, not to think anymore. To make sure, give us a chance to prove what we can do. Because we are eager to learn. We are eager to learn and eager to prove what we can do. And that's, thank you.
Thank you. Another angle would be the business symposium that the LDA does, because they do invite those employers to speak, and you were a speaker there too.
Yes, I was.
Where the employers come, I think last year they were Mr. Dale Alvarez and several employers who hire individuals with special needs, and they speak, very highly of them. They could be some employers that we reach out to as well, because they're already doing it.
It might be easier, and I don't know, because I don't know how many hurdles we need to jump over for these large organizations. You've got organizations like the Whataburger, which is actually a regional, local. They're centered in Corpus, and so they're a regional, kind of statewide establishment as opposed to a national level. I don't know if they might be more accessible, okay, and just in going back to your original question
for the locals, maybe,
because Dr. Gonzalez's claim is indicating. Do we wait for those individuals to come forward, or do we go out and look for others? And so some of the local organizations like Whataburger and many others that are local, some of the individuals that you mentioned right now, maybe we can look at those as well.
Mr. Chair, I think that Dr. Rudiger said both, because the next one is the video, because if these folks allow the media, they're excellent to develop that video. On the other hand, we can continue to invite the locals, and one of the things now in the success of Mr. Delgado and Mr. Lagarza is to take them.
Yes.
If you're okay, but in taping you to talk about the success of hiring, which is what the committee wanted to do, to promote, and then we can invite the other person, certainly who I think is a friend of this committee and who has been with us before, but I asked him again that it was time to meet again, is certainly from Mr. Conchas from the chamber. Hearing from him the other side, why the businesses aren't coming through, and what he thinks we can do. And kind of tie him down, because we're on the list to go to the breakfast meeting, but wow.
Yes, it has.
So maybe if the committee so wishes, is invite him to come at the next meeting to.
And we were supposed to do a presentation, and as this video starts to take more and more shape, and it looks like we're getting more and more, information we can include, videos we can include, it would be the presentation. That could be the presentation.
If the committee wishes and Mr. Delgado is in agreement, and we can touch base with Mr. Lagarza, then we can ask public access to tape a small video on the whole workforce issue.
That's but whatever we can do first, that would work. If they're willing to work with us,
And
willing to work with them.
Ceci, can you hear me?
Ms. Gutierrez.
Okay. I know, in your role, you work with so many employers. If we can connect with some of those employers and your success stories, I think that would be amazing so that we tap into the workforce VR side.
Well, you need to let me know what you need, and I'll be there, and whatever I need to do, let me know.
Because that's what she does all day long, placing individuals to work. And those employers, if we're going to start there, we can bring them on
do those
as well.
But, Mr. Chair, those people you talk to from LMCHED and Walmart, they could come.
Those are huge.
Yeah, that's on a bigger scale because they're corporate.
But we need those too.
No, of course we do. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. It's going to take a little longer to get all those approvals in for the video and all that good stuff.
I do have a student that already agreed to be videotaped.
Okay.
Yay. It's good.
So I didn't know who to contact. He spoke at Student of the Month. He spoke everything.
Wow.
How he felt to have a job.
Perfect. Mr. Chair, this is the next item as well. If the group is ready, the student is ready, again, we just need to coordinate with public access and do the taking.
I think they taped it during the speech, didn't they? The school?
I'm not sure.
They usually do.
So I spoke to the mom
we-
afterwards. She said yes.
So if the school, because usually the school will do the ITV folks videotape the special student of the month. Maybe we can put that out if we were really impressed with his speech.
I would like to speak where he was employed.
That would be beautiful too.
But we are getting in touch with you, Dr. Lisa? Okay.
Yes, so we coordinated.
It's for the hard, you know.
Yeah.
So right now, rather quickly, you would have your students, you could have Mr. Delgado also.
Okay,
As
so
long as
we have-
Ms. De La Garza, should be agreeing to that, and maybe we could contact you so that you could go ahead and advise the city.
And Ceci's?
We can start organizing, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and
So
Ceci's.
we have Ceci, she probably has 2 or 3, Mr. Delgado's another, and Mr. Pelzo's student. Right there, we have probably 5.
That would be good.
So we can start with those.
We need to coordinate with his supervisor.
Johnny. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
That sounds good. Okay. Any other discussion regarding the videos for the workforce development? Okay, good. Then, will you all follow up with those individuals that potentially could say yes immediately? Ceci, are you there? Ms. Gutierrez? Yeah.
I'll reach out to the contractor, Ms. De La Garza.
Okay.
She won't be here till Friday.
No, I understand. They're at the conference. But
We're just summarizing the discussion, and we're just putting you into the soup there that you're also going to go out and recruit 2 or 3 of your employers as well, right?
Yes, I sure will.
So I guess the first thing we need to do probably, Ceci, is the permission.
Okay.
So, to video.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, the consent.
That'll work.
Okay.
Do we have a timeline when we want to do that? Should we set a timeline? Because the holidays, it's not a good time, right?
That's always best to have a timeline because not people just kind of go.
If we can say maybe after the holiday in January when people are settled in, like mid-January, I think would be a good time, no?
And Mr. Chair, that will give us time to also coordinate with public access.
Yeah.
So then maybe the first taping occurring in January.
Yes, mid-January is what we're
I think that's when things start slowing down.
Yeah, that people are settled in and whatnot, and that way it's.
But maybe we could get the consents already.
Oh, yeah.
And that way mid-January we're ready to take.
Now, my question is, do we want to, so that we keep everything aligned, not a script, but what are the points, the talking points that we're wanting? Because what outcome do we want from this video? Because if we just let it go, it's going to go. So I think we as a committee need to put together the talking points. You know, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 talking points, and then depending on the time.
One of the things that you used was the nuggets from the framework that we got. Do you want to go over those again? Maybe those would be a good way to.
Yeah. Bring focus on hiring individuals with unique capabilities, right?
That's one.
Create a working group to connect. Well, this is to connect businesses, government agencies, nonprofit, education committees to learn and discuss ways to strengthen our Laredo community and that of our surrounding areas. Because of course, we've got to remember our surrounding areas. We are responsible for
that particular nugget is actually nos cae a nosotros. We're the ones that need to do that.
Right.
But that first one would be a good one for the video.
Right. Establish the relationships with businesses, small employer, large employer, federal contract employer. Sensitivity trainings. I think that's important that we highlight.
That's another one we can do within the video.
Yeah. Engage CRPs, which is Ceci, Mr. Alagais, and Mr. Ortiz from the VR side, and job coaches to establish relationships with employers, which is what they're doing.
You don't think they have to keep it short?
I was just gonna say,
we're gonna keep it short, but why don't we come up with the talking points, so that way we also help keep the employer in line of this is what we need you to
deliver. The talking points is you need to highlight what they're doing and what they've done. Okay, that's what the first thing. The second one is, okay, what convinced you? Is there anything that finally convinced you to hire an individual with disability? What are some of the fears that you may have had?
Exactly, the barriers that you imagined that didn't really exist.
Correct. Okay. And so,
what do you think? Barriers that did exist once you did, and then how did you overcome that?
And the other thing about it is, you hire somebody willingly, and you say, okay, I'm willing to hire someone with a disability, but how will that affect the rest of my staff? Okay, so how do you train your staff? So sometimes just treat them normally, okay, and have the same expectations from them as you would anyone else. Okay? Because one of the things that individuals with disabilities will tell you is, don't treat me differently. I don't want to be treated that way. And so, is that a philosophy or a changing culture that has to occur? So it's those kinds of more general things about how do we get you to how do we convince people? How do we get them here? How do we help you become more inclusive?
What was the unknown fears you didn't know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Barriers, imagine and real.
Yeah, and I also think we need to close with, okay, so we've had the conversation, employers, telling us what that is, but this is what we have to offer, as our community to help us get you there. So what tools? VR, we're going to have to get VR in there because they know the tools and what's out there at no cost. And then the sensitivity trainings, I think those are important to close the whole, because, okay, so you've said it, but these are the tools, or this is what we have access to at no cost or minimal cost, because some employers may have funds for things that do cost. I don't know.
Along the same lines, and as far as framework and organization of what we're going to do, is I'm thinking in terms of a book and chapters. What I mean by that is, if we could chunk it into those specific pieces, then we could maybe grab from there to do 30-second spots for the TV folks to run. Because they don't like 60-second spots. They'll run the 30-second spots a lot more than if you produce a 60. So I'm thinking if we frame it in pieces, we could maybe through the year pull from the different sections to have public service announcements. Really, we wouldn't have to start from scratch. We would already have the raw materials to do a voiceover or whatever.
Yeah.
To put the radio in, like a spotlight, this is what we do.
I agree. The other one is to support a management team and supervisors about managing people with IDD. So those supports are important.
That comes under your tools, right?
Bring awareness of the available supports and educate on continued support available until the employee is fully integrated and successful in his or her job. That's important, that they know that these tools are out there.
So all of those pieces come under tools, section 4.
Yeah, goal is to help IDD, intellectually and/or developmental disability customers to secure and retain employment. Because at the end of the day, it's all about employment, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's our final goal.
Yeah.
The employee.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start employing.
I have 4 sections basically.
Good job, Hannah.
Two in a row. She had a Wheaties today.
No, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Get excited with it.
Yeah,
So at least we have a general map.
Yeah, so at least we've got, and thank you, Danny, for the feedback too, for
Thank you.
what we want to highlight and whatnot.
So can we move on to the next item? Okay, item 5 has to do with announcements. Anyone have any announcements? Married, children, grandchildren?
Yes, I have an announcement.
Sassy!
Oh, congratulations.
She's a grandma.
I just became a grandmother 3 weeks ago.
Congrats.
I don't believe it.
She's a grandma. Wow.
Is that the first one?
Yeah.
Yes, that's her first one. Hopefully not the last one though. I told Young, I said after a whole week of staying up in the middle of the night, it took 3 adults with the ages ranging over 100 years of age to raise a 2-day-old baby and keep him alive.
Yeah, but after the second or third one, you don't even think about it. You just whoop it out, man. You like,
Probably so. Again, I just want to remind you, February the 8th, we're having the night to shine. For those of you that can save the date, remember it's the only time that you can take someone and ask them to go help someone else and they won't feel bad about it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any announcements? No? And so
So I just want to thank everybody for attending the quick thing at Wednesday.
Yes.
We made it.
Great success.
It was a success. So thanks for everybody who helped.
Yeah, we enjoyed ourselves. It was fun. I got to complain to the mayor for 2 whole blocks.
Tell them what you said. We're being recorded, Daniel.
Were you black?
You know, as we were walking, I didn't realize how much work the streets of Laredo need. Okay,
Yeah. So Danny, we can have a conversation.
mayor. And of course, he was walking with a cane, right? And I kept telling him, "Watch out for the big hole in front of you. Watch out for this. Watch out for that." But I told him, "Okay, we need to put some a line item on the budget to resurface the streets because they're up close when you're walking. They're bad. And when you're in the car, you don't notice." But that was interesting to him. But no, it was we enjoyed ourselves there and interesting. And I appreciate that the mayor gave us such an enormous opportunity and time and effort, and that he just participated along with the rest of the group. And so on behalf of the committee and everyone with disabilities and with blindness issues, I thank the mayor for being so
Awesome. Supportive.
so participatory with us as well. So thank you all. Well, when adjourn? Yes. Okay. So adjourn. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.